And we're back. We're a coalition, loud and proud, outrage, poor and free, civilly disobedient media, again broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Media Network here at the Go Local Live Broadcast Center. I've got on the line with me someone that I consider a friend, something of a mentor. He's a successful business person. His family are the principals behind one of Rhode Island's oldest, most truly iconic businesses. He's been gracious enough over the last year to be a supporter of this effort, the Coalition Talk Radio, he and his family and their company. And I wish I could say I was having him call in under the best of circumstances so we could engage in a little bit of happy talk about the soda biz. You'll see me most nights here on the Coalition for hours at a time drinking what I argue is the finest soda in America. I drink it because I love it. I've had a couple of rough weeks with laryngitis, and quite frankly, their pale dry ginger ale has gotten me through these productions, several hours of State House testimony, a 12-hour day where I talk all day in sales, and then allowed me to just rinse, cycle, repeat the next day. And of course, I'm talking about John Sgambato. He is one of the principals of the Yacht Club Bottling Works. John, welcome to the coalition, of which you are a principal supporter.
Thanks, Pat. Thanks for having me.
Again, these are difficult times. Let's lay out bluntly, because we're going to, in a sense, use this quick conversation we're having tonight as the basics in a campaign to defeat, I believe, is a very dangerous tax for a number of reasons. But give us a snapshot on exactly what's going on.
The state legislature been trying to pass a sugary drink tax, and it's astronomical amounts, up to 2 cents an ounce, which would be almost $6 a case on a wholesale sale. That's more than I make on profit on a wholesale sale. So the state would be making more money clear than I would. And it would basically, it would put me out of business within months, I believe.
How long has your family and the Yacht Club and it was a prior but how long has the Yacht Club Bottling Works been in business?
103 years.
And you are Rhode Island's official state soda, aren't you?
Yes, we are. Passed by the House of Representatives back in '01.
And as I like to call it, the way I try to express it is you were Rhode Island's boutique soda before we even knew we needed boutique sodas, aren't you?
Yeah, well, we never stopped making it the old way, and we try to do our best, put a quality product out there, and it costs a lot of money to put a quality product out there, so our margins aren't as high as Coke and Pepsi or things like that. We're legitimately a family business that feeds our family with what comes in. We're not making millions of dollars.
What were you doing at 7 o'clock last night while these hearings were going on?
I was trying to keep my business going by bottling soda and seltzers.
Right.
We work 12-hour days quite often. That's not uncommon. It's a family business. It's just family that works there right now. It supports us.
Mm-hmm. Just how much notice were you given? And let me set the tone here. Shelby Maldonado, who is the state representative, is the author of this bill. This is not the first year that it's been submitted. It's technically been held for further study. It does present as a tax per ounce on a beverage, that a sugary beverage per se. The challenge here, of course, is that there's several laws recently that we thought were held for the study, which at one time in Rhode Island politics meant see you next year. We can no longer be sure of that, and that's the challenge here. So when did you find out that a bill that potentially threatens the very existence of one of Rhode Island's oldest companies was going to be heard at the General Assembly's House Finance Committee?
Thursday morning, and it was not by anyone in the State House.
Right. Would you argue that it's important that when legislation is passed, and the current buzzword is stakeholders, you're a stakeholder if you have an interest in it. I think it's pretty fair to say that you have an interest in this legislation. Your entire family does.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, my wife, my 2 kids, my brother, my mother and father, everyone is supported by this business.
Right.
and if that went away, then we would have almost no source of income.
The rationale, of course, is that, and this is expressly written in the announcement to the bill, the rationale is that the use of taxation would alter people's behavior and spending habits and move them away from the beverage. So this isn't pretend. The very nature of this legislation, the reason for being is to put you out of business.
It's very aggressive.
It's literally, it's designed to have people take a look at your product and walk away, isn't it?
This legislation is designed for me not to exist.
Right. And this isn't even pretend words, this isn't even mincing words. We're gonna publish.
No, this is the same words as last year, I believe. And this has been a 6-year process that they've been trying this since 2011. And you wake up in the middle of the night wondering if your business is going to be closed the next month or 2 months because they're going to pass a law like this. Mm-hmm. So it's been 6 years of under a dark cloud wondering what's going to happen to my business. I'm just fed up.
Right, because the implication is if this amount isn't enough, if the purpose of the legislation is to make people not use your product, then there really is no limit on what they'll do to put you out of business.
That's the way it's written.
I want folks to reflect on that for a moment. You've got a legal product. In almost every manner, your product is healthier because of its use of primarily natural ingredients, including quote-unquote real sugar, as opposed to something that's built in a refinery. Your product is actually healthier in most respects than just about every beverage that's imported into the state that's built at some major processing center. Yet, the government has decided that your product, which is thoroughly legal, is consumed by choice, needs to die.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, at what point, where in the Rhode Island Constitution, the federal Constitution, or even in the laws of basic human decency, how is government empowered to decide whether or not your business should exist? Where does this power emanate from that Representative Maldonado believes she feels she can wield?
I don't know. It's not anything that I learned.
It's astonishing. I want folks in.
I honestly don't. I don't know where they can basically just decide what businesses they want, and what businesses they don't want. It's very difficult.
Right. So now, and let's put this into the frame of mind. You as a citizen, your family contributes greatly to the local economy, don't they? I mean, you use thousands upon countless thousands of glass bottles a year that you buy. I would imagine before this tax is thought about, you already pay a considerable amount of money to, I believe it's North Providence, and also to the state of Rhode Island, don't you?
Yes, we pay the health department's license fees, we pay fees to be a business, the $500 corporation tax, we pay over $20,000 in property tax every year. There's a lot of taxes that go into owning this business, and this one would be extraordinary suffocating. It's just there's nowhere you can't pull money from nowhere.
Right. And at the same time, in my observation, this is coming from me, this is a state that claims to be concerned about the health issues surrounding a particular food or beverage. This is the same state that profits extraordinarily from casino gaming. Extraordinarily. A monopoly on my words, an economical, self-destructive time bomb that people engage in whose losses are virtually guaranteed. And the state balances a significant part of its budget. Now, to your credit, when I pointed this out, and I pointed out the fact that the states make a lot of money on cigarettes and things like that, you pointed out, and I'm going to quote you, is that those types of taxes should be on no product, no legal product. And that's, you're being a gentleman there, because most of the state's legislature's concerns are, quite frankly, self-revolving. I mean, they're not looking out for anybody but the quote-unquote coffers of the state of Rhode Island. And you're right, of course, that...
I just don't believe the sin taxes. I never have. It's just something that I grew up thinking.
Mm-hmm. And
when you grow up in a family business and understand what it is, the sin tax is just a tax that somebody can impose on any product.
Right.
And this is what's happening now to our product. And that's, it's awful.
Right. And yours is a product that has its roots, when you look at products like sarsaparilla and birch beer and root beer, yours is a product that has its roots in American history. I mean, it's a uniquely American product to a large degree. And your product is sold at the finest restaurants in the state, in a state that has spent an extraordinary amount of money and paid a great deal of attention to attracting a brewery business. So,
yep.
Oh my. I guess you and I are kind of doing the television, what do they call it, willing suspension of disbelief. We're looking at each other and we're saying, why you? And there are, by the way, to your credit, there you pointed out when we met, there are other independent beverage producers and syrup producers in the state, aren't there? I mean, you're not the only company that's going to be affected. This has the potential to reach across Rhode Island, doesn't it?
I am not the only beverage producer in the state. There's plenty of beverage producers in the state that are going to be harmed greatly by this. There's going to be people that lose their jobs because of this, and it's not fair to anyone.
Right. So,
I mean, delivery drivers to the people that are packing the boxes in plants. Pepsi runs a huge manufacturing facility in Cranston. There's a lot of people there.
mm-hmm.
If the same thing that happens in Philadelphia happens, people are going to lose jobs. I mean, I think they lost over 300 jobs in Philadelphia when they enacted this.
Right. And this, in a week in which our governor, and this is my editorialization, has just announced the quote-unquote, and we use the coalition air quotes here, $20 million to invest in a business that has been legislated into existence that makes billions of dollars off of taxpayers already. So we again have another situation where a zombie state is looking to pillage an existing employer who has done it the right way. I mean, you guys don't get any handouts. You guys don't get anything. I mean, please jump in if I'm wrong, but you're doing it the old-fashioned way. Not only do you do your
I
show the
haven't
old-fashioned
received any government subsidies, if that's what you're asking.
Right. You get up in the morning early, and you work until you're done.
Yeah. I mean, some days it's you don't go home until midnight. Other days you get to go home at 4 or 5 o'clock. It is what it is. You have to do.
And I'd like to point out, and here's the odd irony: if you've ever been self-employed, as I have, quite frankly, there are days when you want to work till midnight because that means, the phone be ringing and the orders be coming through. So there's the irony: your production, your product, the quality of your product is intimately tied to one family's entrepreneurial, gutty, hardworking talents in one, and again my words, naive state representative who clearly is not interested in input from the community has the power to take that away. Now, to be fair, twice today we reached out to Representative Maldonado, and the offer is still open to have her come in, phone in, Skype in, whatever she's comfortable with, and try and justify this. I see none. I see no possible justification. Because, and this is the critical part, on a practical level. We've talked about the philosophical issues of this. But I want to, if you could give a 2 or 3 minute explanation of how real business works. This tax, which would work out to be about 24 cents a bottle, sounds quite innocuous. I mean, it's 24 cents a bottle. People will certainly be willing to pay more for a quality product, right? You can just pass that along to the consumer. What's the reality of your situation?
Well, the reality of my situation is my product cost is not as cheap as Coke and Pepsi or an inferior, lesser product. We really take pride in our ingredients. It costs a lot of money to put our drinks together. We can't. Our prices are higher right now than a Coke and a Pepsi, and they could absorb it a lot easier than I could. People will see my product go up exponentially in price, and they can still buy a Coke or a Pepsi for, $2 less a bottle. So I don't know. It's going to. I don't know. I spend a lot of sleepless nights thinking about this one.
Right. I mean, I'm holding and enjoying one of my favorites of yours, and this is a recent love, which is the pale dry ginger ale. What do you put into your ginger ales? I mean, talk about
real ginger.
Real ginger. And boy, you can taste it. It's delicious. Is real ginger more expensive than artificial flavoring?
Yes, we use a true alcohol extraction of ginger, and it's very expensive to produce. So that cost is passed along to me.
Mm-hmm. As selling a product,
everything we use is the best we can find, and not something that we don't cheat on our flavor, and that is it can be very costly because I could throw stuff in a bottle and it would cost me pennies, or not even almost negligible. But the flavors that I use cost quite a bit. So it's just I don't want to cheapen my product because of somebody telling me I can't do what I'm currently doing.
Right. So we've got this conundrum here. We've got a state government that is literally willing to spend millions to develop relationships with large multinationals, bring them in at taxpayer expense, despite the fact that these companies are highly profitable, despite the fact that in the case of, say, Electric Boat, they've already got an established footprint here, and that they're not going to leave. That was one of the most ludicrous things I heard this week. As I like to say earlier in the week, we reached peak stupid in the state. Brown University isn't moving off of Thayer Street anytime soon. Electric Boat isn't moving out of, the state subsidized spaces they already use anytime soon. Yet here we've got the spectacle of enjoying a 103-year relationship with one of the finest producers of soda, a popular product nationwide, who is part of our culture, and we are blessed to have it locally owned, and is a significant economic contributor to the community, literally with a death sentence hanging over its head because of the thoughtless meanderings of a handful of politicians who operated along the lines of the Three Stooges with hey, this sounds like a good idea. Yeah, that's a ticket. Let's do it. Let's talk positive for the couple minutes that I've got you left. First of all, tomorrow's a big day. You're going to join us in studio next week to talk about the product, and we'll re-engage in happy talk. But tomorrow's a big day. You are on the board of a local organization. What kicks back into operation tomorrow at the intersection of Hope and Blackstone Boulevard here in Providence?
The Hope Street Farmers Market starts tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It'll be the first one of the year, and it goes all the way through October. It's a really great event every Saturday, and thousands of people come every weekend. It's really it's a nice way to experience local products.
Right. Now, interestingly enough, we're going to talk about more of about this next week, but it's actually a local board that runs this, right? This is truly a cooperative.
It's only vendors. It's truly vendor run. Everything on this market is run by the vendors of the market. Mm-hmm. There's no other organization. There's no outside forces. Everything is run by the farmers or the producers.
Right. And so, what's the breadth of products? First of all, folks, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you this every week throughout the summer. You want to support local business. Everyone wants to support local business. Well, you know what? Take 5 minutes tomorrow, and if you don't see this show until tomorrow, the next day, take 5 minutes next Saturday morning. Go down to the intersection of Hope and Blackstone Boulevard. Go to the farmers market there and just buy a couple of cold sodas and taste the difference. That's how you support local business in reality.
So a great local artist market adjoining our market, and there's something for everyone there.
Right. So I mean, the breadth of food, whether it be fresh meats, vegetables, organic poultry, organic produce, as well as your product and some other great consumer products, it's a wonderful opportunity really to sample the best of Rhode Island and to bring home the best of Rhode Island. So what does this run to? Give us the location and the date and the website and all that good stuff.
It's HopeStreetFarmersMarket.com, and it runs from May through October, every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
It's on it's in Lippett Park on the corner of Blackstone and Hope Street.
Right. It's just a fabulous event. So here's our takeaway then for this week, and you'll be joining us in studio next week. Maybe give us a hint on some new products that may or may not be showing up soon. Representative Maldonado has decided to bring back to life again a bill that would pass, or it's on a sugary tax, if you will, and it's how much is it per ounce? It's 6 cents. How much is it per ounce again?
2 cents per ounce.
2 cents per ounce. Your conventional bottle is a 12-ounce glass bottle filled with cold goodness. All right, so you're looking at 24 cents at wholesale per bottle. And that translates into how much per case?
It's nearly $6 a case.
Right, and so you're looking then at ginning up the price wholesale at $6.80 per case to a market that's incredibly competitive, and you're competing against multinationals who are churning out junk for a mass market.
Yeah.
It's
hard to compete as it is, and to add that to it, the price points, people would just go for the cheaper stuff, I believe. I mean, people do love the product, but after a while, how can they afford to do it,
Right. There's a concept that's
I have a family. I understand how it is. It's very hard to, put food on the table sometimes. At extra costs, you have to cut certain things, and I just don't see how this is feasible for people.
Right. There's a concept in economics. It's called price elasticity, and that is that every product has a price where consumer demand will start to shrink away when reached. It's hard to study. It's hard to pinpoint. It's an inexact science at best. And I don't think we as a culture here in Rhode Island want to, through government force and government coercion in the form of taxation, force existing small business, longtime employers, family-owned companies to have to figure out what that price point is before they start to lose their business. It's wrong. It's based on bad science, and quite frankly, it's an attempt by people to use government and the force of government to alter their buying practices and to effectively place a target on the back of some of our finest local businesses. It's disgusting, it's reprehensible, it's ill-informed, and it needs to stop now. We need this bill, hate the language here, folks, all right? But this bill needs to die. And I, as a quote-unquote responsible member of the local independent media, have chosen this year as this time when we're going to address this head-on, so we can take the gun away from local business owners' heads, and we can actually allow them to operate their business, to grow their business, and to create opportunity for Rhode Islanders independently without the expense of taxpayers. And I'm asking you to support products like Yacht Club Soda and support what is beginning to be our fight to kill off this legislation. And John, I'm so sorry that you have to deal with this, your family has to deal with this. Your family is, and having had a chance to meet several of them now, I can tell you, is just the type of people we want in leadership positions here in Rhode Island. We want to use it as an example as what Rhode Islanders really cherish and what they really revere. And your work ethic and your family's work ethic and the product, quite frankly, deserves better treatment from a clearly out of control government. I thank you for joining us tonight. And again, as a heartfelt thank you for your continued support. Full disclosure, you'll see this sign up, the Yacht Club Bottling Works sign, all over everything we do, because they're kind enough, despite working in a challenging consumer market, to support our efforts here. And damn it, we're going to fight for them as well. So John, thank you so much, and have a great time tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you in studio next week.
Thanks. I'll see you next week, Pat, and thanks for letting me voice my opinion.
No, it's God bless you, lad. That's all I can say. God bless you, lad. We'll be there. Folks,
Talk to you soon. Thanks.
folks, tomorrow, great opportunity. Really we're blessed in this state to have literally a dozen or so great farmers markets. But as far as city farmers markets go, there's really, it is one, it's Oak Street Market. Spend a little time, spend a little money tomorrow with Mother's Day coming up and lots of opportunities to entertain friends and family. Buy a cold one from John. I personally recommend the root beer. I recommend all of their ginger products. Later on tonight, I'm gonna try a ginger beer for the first time. Yes, I've never tried a ginger beer. YachtClubBottlingWorks.com. And of course, you'll see their links throughout everything we do here at the Coalition. We're gonna take a quick break right now. Joining us in the next segment, we're gonna be talking about the Reform Party. Yes, the Reform Party. For folks who think that the Reform Party may have gone the way of H. Ross Perot and Pat Buchanan, you're sadly mistaken. The Reform Party is reasserting itself in the political landscape. We expect to see more of them. And as someone who chairs a local third-party organization, I embrace all forms of independent politicking. It's what makes this country great, and we need to break the duopoly that exists between the Me Too failed Republican and Democratic Party. So, we're going to take a quick break. We are the Coalition, loud and proud, outrage porn-free, civilly disobedient media broadcasting live on the Worldwide Coalition Network here at the Go Local Live Broadcast Center, 90 Way Boston Street, in the heart of the city we love, Providence, Rhode Island. A little bit of steamy, a little bit of a muggy night out tonight. Come on downtown, enjoy the very best that Rhode Island has to offer. Facebook.com/The Coalition Radio, on the Mighty Mighty Twitter at Coalition_radio, and of course, this and all other shows will live in perpetuity at our website, coalitionradio.us. Simply click on the YouTube link, where we'll ask you to subscribe, we'll ask you to follow our page, and we'll ask you to follow us on Twitter. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back.